Donald Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy had some words that they exchanged over the last 24 hours, and I'm going to share those details with you in just a second. But if you've watched any of the videos I've put out in the last number of months, I said, in my opinion, I think Vivek is a plant. And there's some context behind that, some historical pieces that I'll share with you as well. So what took place as we move into this Iowa caucus event that's going to take place January 15th, tomorrow, Monday, on MLK Day, I think is very timely. I think it's strategic. I think, as the Russians said, active measures. This is a form of psychological warfare. They're utilizing this in a way that is very tactical, and I think Vivek is in on it. So let me share with you first really quickly the exchange between Donald J. Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, Trump said this on his platform, Truth Social. It says, Vivek started out his campaign as a great supporter. He said, in quotes, the best president in generations, end quote. Unfortunately, now all he does is disguise his support in the form of deceitful campaign tricks. Okay, remember that, disguising the support in the form of deceitful campaign tricks. Very sly, he says, but a vote for Vivek is a vote for the other side. Don't get duped by this. Vote for Trump. Don't waste your time. Vivek's not MAGA. The Biden indictments against his political opponent will never be allowed in this country. They are already beginning to fall. MAGA. Now, Vivek came back, and if you know anything about Vivek and kind of what he stood for and all this, is that he's come out as a big supporter of Trump to a large degree. He's actually voiced his opinion about Trump being the greatest president in the 21st century. He has stood with Trump in the situations that occurred both in Colorado and in Maine on the ballots and said, look, if he's going to be taken off, then take me off as well. And you know what? Hey, rest of the GOP, whether it be DeSantis or Haley, Christie, hey guys, look, we should all hop off this ballot if they're going to do this to Trump because it's not right. So he stood up and said these things. But when I heard him do these things and say these things, I couldn't help but immediately think, this is freaking tactical. This guy's a freaking genius. And we'll get to that in just a second. But let me show you what he said in his reply, his response back to Trump. He said, yes, I saw President Trump's Truth Social post, and it's an unfortunate move by his campaign advisors. I don't think friendly fire is helpful. Donald Trump was the greatest president of the 21st century. There you go, right? Giving him kudos, giving him praise. And I'm not going to criticize him in response to this late attack. I met tens of thousands of Iowans across 390 plus events, and they're deeply worried, and so am I, that this, quote, system, end quote, won't allow Donald Trump anywhere near the White House again. See how he's really driving that point in there, okay? He was the greatest president, and they're not going to allow him in anymore. He says, it seems they'll stop at nothing to keep him away from power. I'm worried for Trump. I'm worried for our country. I've stood up against the persecutions against Trump, and I've defended him at every step. I've showed up at the Miami courthouse in solidarity following his first federal indictment. I filed a FOIA demand to the Biden DOJ, and I've even submitted an amicus brief this week with the U.S. Supreme Court calling on them to overturn Colorado's ruling. I've pledged to remove myself from Maine and Colorado's primary ballots if they remove Trump, calling on DeSantis and Haley to do the same. But we have to open our eyes, people. He says last time it was a man-made pandemic and big tech election interference. Now, the same billionaires funding lawsuits against Trump are the ones trying to prop up Nikki Haley. The same MSM blasting Trump is lavishing praise on Nikki. They want to narrow this to a two-horse race between Trump and Haley, eliminate Trump one way or the other. I wonder what he means by that. You know what I'm saying? And trot their puppet into the White House. We can't fall for that trap. 1 year from now, he says, we won't look back and say we were shocked that it happened. We'll kick ourselves for not stopping it. Our movement must live on. America First didn't start in 2016. It started in 1776. We owe it to our founding fathers to do the right thing for our country. I want to save Trump and save this country. Let's do it together. You won't hear any friendly fire from me. Now, when I read this, psychologically, it is freaking genius. This guy is a deadly communicator. He is Obama 2.0 on steroids. He has the ability to be extremely articulate, getting his point across, painting a picture and making you understand the words regardless of young and old. He's been able to engage with both sides, right? Demographics. It's crazy how he's doing this. But somebody who's on this level of communication and effectiveness has been trained. You can't tell me otherwise. Whether it's CIA, some type of intel, this guy has gone inside and he's been able to train extremely well to be able to do this, what he's doing. And if you notice, every time he mentions the country and hooks people in because of the country and what we're going through, like he's voiced his concern about, hey, you know what? I'm anti-war. I'm going to end these wars. I'm going to close these borders. It's country first, America first, 1776, independence, freedom. We got to take back our right to free speech, right? Even at his events, whether these things are staged or not, people pop up and they're having all kinds of concerns and they're, yeah, F you, blah, blah, blah. Hey, no, we don't believe in this. Why don't you fight for transgender, gay rights and this and that, blah, blah. What do you think about this and that? He has the ability to maintain his composure, let them speak, and then give them a response back. And somehow in all these videos, these people end up taking his side at the end.
Scared of you, just
they
like
are.
They're scared of Trump.
Oh,
they are scared.
And they will stop
you.
at nothing, but we're not going to let them get away with it. I've got fresh legs. I'm not wounded. And
That's
they're not going
true.
to let this man do it.
You know, when you
This
said
is why I
eliminate,
know.
that gave me a chill. Because I'm scared.
Because you think it's false or because you think it's true?
I think it's true. I think they will stop at
It is-
nothing to stop them. Stop Trump.
It's sad, but it's the truth. It's the sad, but it's the truth. So I'm
But
asking you to do
that's-
your part, and we're going to.
You know, when
We
I
can
do
do
these
this.
polls,
We
when
can
I
do
this
this.
poll,
Yeah.
they say, how do you feel about the United States? And I say, I'm worried and I'm fearful.
My job that you don't have to feel that way in this country.
But we're losing it.
We're losing.
We're losing it.
It
And
pains
we
me to
need
hear
people.
that.
We need people like you. Young,
We're going to
vibrant.
do this, and that's what our founding fathers were.
Yes.
It's 1776 moment, so I want your support at that Iowa caucus.
And I get emotional.
I'm emotional about this country. I need your support on Monday night. You do this, I'm going to do my part.
Okay, you're picking at my shell. You are.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've got
It's about
commitments.
this country. It's about this country. You want to save Trump, you vote for me. I'm telling you
Yeah.
that. You vote for Trump. You're sending
He's
him
a sledgehammer.
No, but you're sending him to his own demise. You're falling into the trap that not only a country's falling in, that he's falling. You want to save Trump, you vote for me. I need your support at the Iowa caucus.
That's a good argument. That's a good argument.
It's not an argument, it's the truth. Do the right thing for this country. That's what I'm asking you for.
I will consider.
Thank you.
That's the first time
For
I've
this
ever
country.
said that, by the way. Because the others.
No, forget that. But this is that's the truth, and I think you know it.
It's also about Trump.
But this is
about
yes,
America.
yes. This is the truth, and what I just told you, I think you know that in your heart to be true. Do the right thing on Monday. That's what I'm asking you for. Thank you.
He stops right in the middle of an event, goes outside and gets a dude that's out there holding signs and invites him to come in, and he carries his water for him in his bag. Like, it seems so staged to me, but I'm so surprised that people are falling for this BS. And this is my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll gladly admit it. If I'm proven wrong, I will gladly apologize. But I don't believe I am. And I just see how this works out. And his wording, the way he worded this tweet out, so perfectly done. Hits the country, but then ties Trump to it. I'm so worried for Trump, but I'm also worried for our country. The greatest president was the greatest president of the 21st century. But at this time, they're not going to let him in. And you guys got to see that. And so I look at this and I'm like, okay, this dude is very strategic in trying to say that he's backing Trump. This is how he's trying to obtain Trump supporters. This picture is a perfect example. Look at this. This kid's wearing a shirt that says, "Save Trump, vote Vivek." So in order for the country to save Trump, because he's so concerned about saving Trump, you got to vote for Vivek in order for that to occur. A vote for Vivek is a vote for Trump. That's what he's suggesting. And he's getting people to actually buy into it. Because people really are concerned. They're thinking, hey, you know what? These indictments, these different things, Trump's not going to be able to get in there. And then that's, it's going to be this way anyway. He said they're trying to narrow it down to a 2-horse race and get Nikki Haley there. That she's part of a separate establishment that's been planted into the GOP. Bro, the GOP is an establishment in and of itself. And if you can't see that, both sides are corrupt. Give me a break, bro. You got to be able to see this for yourself. And I think the picture is painted very clearly. Look at that picture. Save Trump, vote Vivek. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. But I can't help but think how this guy is a plant. And let me share a couple details with you that maybe you didn't know. Let's start with the fact that the mainstream media is completely on this guy's side. Vivek is supported by MSNBC, Axios, Politico, the New York Times, a number of other agencies and mainstream media outlets who we would typically regard as part of the establishment, but yet those establishment entities are cool with him and they'll promote his stuff. They'll talk about him actively. They'll promote his tweets. They'll cover his outlets and what he's doing, his campaign trail, etc. But the very same talking points that he has, Trump uses those talking points and he's the devil. Why? Why would they praise this guy and adopt him, who are the establishment, if he wasn't part of that establishment? That's number one. Number two, he started off as a hedge fund manager and then became part of a startup company that ended up having multiple subsidiaries called Roivant. Roivant is a pharmaceutical company. Now, Roivant, what's interesting about them is Vivek became a billionaire in the process of starting up Roivant, all without ever actually releasing a drug that went on the market. Nothing ever actually went to market. From my understanding, out of 20 different subsidiaries, they had a couple phase 3 clinical trials, and I think one thing was actually getting ready to go to market, which was a cream. But somehow, all these investors were pumping money into him, and he became a billionaire overnight. And guess who among those other investors, 3 of those investors were? BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. You can look in BlackRock's annual report and find the percentages of how much they've actually invested into Roivant. So he became a billionaire without actually being profitable and going to market. That's another aspect. Let's not mention the fact that on Wikipedia, his involvement with the Ohio COVID-19 response team and his linking to receiving funding from the Soros family was wiped from Wikipedia. Why? Why wouldn't that be something that could be publicly known and he would be transparent about that? The other aspect, and this thing really set me off, is that in 2021, Vivek was named as one of the global young leaders of who else? The World Economic Forum. And we know what type of establishment they are. They are the establishment of establishments. Why was he named as a young global leader? But he allowed that to occur back in 2021, rode that out probably to get more investments and people to buy into what he's doing. It was able to serve his purpose. But then when it no longer did and he decided that he was going to be a candidate on the Republican side, decided to go after and sue the World Economic Forum, saying, hey, you wrongfully put me on that list of young global leaders and I never should have been there because I don't want any involvement or association with you. In which, in 90 days from the time that he filed suit, not only won the lawsuit, but then received a written apology from the World Economic Forum. You're talking about the establishment of establishment. Like, normally if you go and sue somebody, any type of reputable brand, organization, company, what's going to happen? There's going to be delays. There's going to be, setbacks. That court case is potentially going to extend out for quite some time because there's going to be a process of litigation. They didn't even do that. 90 days, won money, and won an apology in writing from the World Economic Forum. Tell me if that doesn't sound the alarm for you. But here's where it gets kind of weird to me, is that he took the funding that he received from the lawsuit that he won from the World Economic Forum, and guess where he gave that money to? The money was given to the America First Policy Institute, which is coined as a pro-Trump think tank. It's a nonprofit organization. The organization was founded by Brooke Rollins, who's the president and CEO, and formerly was the acting director of the U.S. Domestic Policy Council under Trump, and Larry Kudlow, who also serves as vice chair and formerly served as director of the National Economic Council under Trump. Isn't that odd to you? Just a little bit? Is it possible that Vivek is either a plant of Trump himself or a plant of the establishment to deteriorate and bring down this whole Trump train. I think it's also interesting to note that billionaire Jeffrey Epstein's associate gave a large donation to Vivek's campaign. That's a gentleman by the name of Glenn Dubin, who's been named on several of the Epstein documents that have been released recently. And it says the donations totaled over $100,000. So I find this to be extremely interesting, extremely wild and crazy as we go into the Iowa caucus. And I think it's just something to think about, to really deeply consider in whatever decision you make, because I'm just giving you my opinion. My opinion isn't what should be your opinion, right? Your opinion matters, your voice matters, your vote matters. And so, you have to choose what you want to do. And ultimately, I'm just here to give you the non-biased information of what I've been able to find out and put that into your hands so that you can make a well-informed decision with whatever that decision may be. But I think at the end of the day, we have to look at this and agree there's no way that this guy is not planted. Who he's planted from, that's yet to be determined. But I think it will surface and will come to light very shortly here. But he is, in fact, planted. And I think we need to see that for what it is and be wise in the way that you move forward. And as always, guys, continue to fight the psyops. Look, if you appreciate this content, please do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel if you're here on YouTube. If you're watching on Rumble, follow me. Okay, I'm trying to build up the Rumble channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. Drop your comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. If you have deeper insights, you have opinions, whether you agree or disagree with me, that's totally cool, man. I want to hear from you. Drop your comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. And also, guys, as well, down below you can find my ebook and audiobook, How to Fight Ideological Subversion. Basically, tactics that are being used against us, psychological warfare tactics. How can we spot them? How can we fight them? And then how can we wake other people up as well around us, those we love, friends, family members in our community? It's very important. And then I also want you to hop over because I have merch, music, so much more. All the podcast episodes are up and available for you guys to watch. You can also join my members-only community where you get exclusive content and so much more. Can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this today, and we'll see you real soon on the next one. Peace.
By the way, we have a presidential candidate, Vivek, right now, is the guy who funded Arbutus and Acuitas. So we have a Republican candidate for president who is using for his campaign money he made on his not so publicly disclosed interests in every shot that was delivered.